Hold it. Okay.
Hi, I'm Monica Coleman, and I just finished talking about Facebooking for theological community at the Theology After Google Conference 2010 at Claremont School of Theology. And I think if I was to say what the take-home point of what I was talking about is that when you use Facebook to create theological community, and there are tons of ways to do that through notes, through your status updates and having comments or posting videos about your research or your sermon topics, is it allows for two kinds of things that don't often get to happen in our brick and mortar churches. One is that you can communicate with people over time and over space. You don't have to be able to drive there and sit there for that 1 or 2 or 3 hours, depending on your tradition, sermon, but you can check in on something 2 days later, 4 hours later, a week later, whenever you see it, and become part of a conversation. And you can be anywhere in the world and become part of that conversation. The other thing is that you actually get to have dialogue in forums where you might not ordinarily be able to have an exchange of ideas. There's so many things that we often do in churches or that we do even in theological classrooms that are really unidirectional. It's that banking method where the expert gives the advice and we say what we think is important and everyone else has to sit down and just take notes or listen. Or you might respond in prayer. But I think Facebook really allows for this to be much more dialogical. You can have conversations and go back and forth and exchange so that the so-called expert gets to learn from the so-called student and vice versa. And I think that's another real strength. And when you really learn something new, connect with somebody new, when you have another experience of God, when you can actually say, wow, this was church for me, then that's when Facebook can become theological community.